YouTubers made the Switch a success, and without them, Nintendo will fail as a company. I understand that is an incredibly bold claim to make, but it is objectively true, and we only have to look at the Wii U to understand why. For those of you who don't know, recently, Nintendo has decided to reverse its neutral position on video creation and streaming of their games, and appears to be going back to the Wii U era of quote-unquote protecting its intellectual property. As discussed in this video by Point Crow, who recently was given 2 strikes on his channel and had numerous videos removed directly by Nintendo. As well as a video response by Charlie of Penguin Zero, who further discussed the issue and mentioned how this was affecting many more channels. Now, I could talk all day about my disdain for how the legal system handles intellectual property rights, but I won't. Nor am I going to talk about how detrimental this is for the livelihoods of many creators, as well as fans. But I think both Point Crow and Charlie did more than a fine enough job on that on their own, and in all honesty, Nintendo doesn't care. No, instead I want to talk about how all of this is going to hurt Nintendo, and if they aren't careful, could even go so far as to tank their company into the ground. The reason why is very simple. Traditional marketing simply does not work in today's markets, and every other game company out there seems to understand this, but apparently no one gave the memo to Nintendo, or more accurately, they probably just declined to read it. To elaborate, people are dissuaded by direct advertising, and are more inclined by a product when that product is advertised to them in a way that doesn't feel like an advertisement. And this is almost entirely the result of YouTubers and streamers. I have never even once considered getting Raid Shadow Legends, regardless of how many ads for it I get, whether it's a pre-roll or a paid sponsorship. But I watch a single episode of Game Grumps playing Pizza Tower, and suddenly I want to buy and play Pizza Tower. And I can almost guarantee everyone watching this video right now feels similarly. And even for the some of you that bought into a paid sponsorship, I'm certain that you didn't actually want the product advertised. You just did it to support the creator, and wouldn't have bothered with it otherwise. And why is that? It's because, while on a technical level both instances can be considered an advertisement, in the one instance you are being told to buy a product by someone being paid to promote it, while on the other instance, you are watching someone enjoy a product that they purchased of their own free will. You know that there aren't any tricks or deceptions at play. The opinions of the creator are genuine, whether good or bad, and you can see the game in action and get a sense for how it plays and whether you'd have fun with it yourself. This sort of indirect marketing is so effective, in fact, that some entire game studios dedicate large amounts of time and marketing resources into trying to convince YouTubers and streamers alike to play their games for their audiences. And this isn't a particularly recent development either, which leads us into the failure of the Wii U and how Nintendo is repeating history. One of the major problems with the Wii U that many Nintendo fans like to talk about was the lack of advertising for the console, which is true, but it goes far beyond that. See, during the era of the Wii U, Nintendo was more protective of its intellectual property on YouTube, and would often strike down channels for making gameplay videos. This is the same era where Nintendo came out with its infamous creator program, whereby you had to surrender a large portion of your video revenue for the privilege of playing some Wii U games on your channel. Of course, everyone in the YouTube sphere collectively said screw that noise, Nintendo isn't worth the trouble, and there are plenty more games out there that I can play, and this is ultimately what tanked Nintendo harder than anything. Creators largely didn't want to play the Wii U because the risk was too high for very little return, and no one else wanted to play it because no one was talking about it. The only thing that was keeping Nintendo afloat was its handheld market, but even that started to dwindle as fewer and fewer people were interested in new releases for the systems, for much of the same reason. No one was talking about these games, and there wasn't any community around them. Nintendo eventually reversed this decision, but by that time the damage had already been done. The only thing left to do was to release a new console and hope they could recover, which they did, but only because they had reversed the original position on YouTubers. With the announcement of the Switch and subsequent release, fans were actually allowed to make videos talking about it and playing it freely. New channels like Arlo, for instance, rose to prominence and popularity because of this, and discussions and videos were everywhere. The Switch quickly became one of the best-selling consoles of all time and has continued to do well throughout its entire life cycle as a console because people have been able to freely share their experiences and grow communities around Nintendo. That is, until recently with creators like Point Crow and others. These actions by Nintendo will only serve to hurt game sales moving forward if they continue down this road, as both YouTubers and streamers will stop playing and talking about new releases. What's the point if the risk is so high and you can just as easily play anything else? But even more concerning for Nintendo is how this will affect their next console. It's no secret that the Switch is already well within its twilight years and is due to retire very soon, possibly even this year if not the next. How well can a theoretical Switch 2 sell if everyone is too afraid to talk about it? Well, we already know the answer. The same way that the Wii U sold as a successor to the Wii. Only this time, there's no handheld market to back them up. If everyone is too afraid of playing the new Nintendo console for their audience, then no one's going to talk about it. And if no one's talking about it, there's no community. And without a community, Nintendo has nothing. Thank you all so much for watching. I am a very small creator, so please don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps me out. I plan on making a lot more videos like this talking about gaming and gaming communities moving forward, so if you're into that sort of thing, you're in the right place. And as always, I'm the OgichiGame, and I'll see you next time.